Now, just a warning, I'm going to try to close by asking you each for your top tip for the audience, the lesson learned, the pitfall to avoid. So I'll give you a minute or two to think about what your top tip or exhortation for the audience would be. We've been collecting questions from you during the course. If you want to ask questions live, please do so. Let me just kick off with a couple of questions that have come in via email, if I may. From Patrick Gillett, or Gillet, I don't know which, but Patrick, thank you for your question. Apps versus sites. The whole thing we just touched on there, apps versus sites, what's going to win? And also, is HTML5 going to make it easier for us to integrate? Maybe let's start with Nick, who's nodding there. What's the view?
I think it really depends on what your business is. That's the starting point, and evaluate the pluses and minuses of both environments. But most businesses, and we have lots of clients, it's the first question you always look at, most businesses actually need both at the moment because they do different things.
Nick says both, they do different things. Katie, you did everything without even having a site or an app.
Yeah.
What's the view?
Definitely site for us because it's all about content, it's all about driving real-time information. So we want to concentrate our effort on getting our site up and mobile enabled and giving the customers what they want.
Okay. Other views on that? Apps versus sites questions, anybody?
Well, I would say that inevitably long-term it's going to be the browser which wins, inevitably, but it's going to be a while, I think, before that happens, simply because people like apps and we're actually training them on a daily basis to navigate the web via apps in many instances, so I think they'll be around slightly longer than perhaps
So I think apps are something transitional towards when we all figure it all out.
I think it's like AOL's walled garden in the late 90s. I think it's a very similar analogy to that. And it will have its time and place the next 5 years, and then after that, I think it will be a web-based world. Okay. And Robert Snoding, you talked a lot about HTML5. Presumably, your view is it's the browser.
Yes. Don't wait for HTML6. Get involved now. You can do so many very powerful things in the browser. I would only really build an app if you have a really, really strong thing that you can't do in today's browser. Apart from that, get into the browser world now. You already know how to write HTML.
Okay, so that's interesting stuff. Now, a range of other questions that have come through have been to do with the network. We had live demos which were interfered with by the British weather, unusually, but often when people are doing that kind of demonstration or where you'll show somebody something flash, you find that the network connection lets you down. So a couple of the questions we've had from various people, including Oliver Newton, who's saying, what's the role of data caps and being reintroduced? What's that going to do? Another question from Alex Butler talking about network capacity as a constraining issue. What are your views on those things, and what can be done to improve the speed and the reliability of connections? Who wants to take that to start with? Go on, Nick.
One thing we find is that a lot of our users are actually using their mobile at home. So it's not just about using it in the street, it's because they can't be bothered getting up off the couch to go and get their laptop. So in that scenario, we think there's a lot of usage that's Wi-Fi, and that's actually one of the things we'd like to know better about our users is who is using it in a Wi-Fi scenario. The other thing is that we find that the network speed isn't the major issue. Actually, for us, it's serving a mobile site very quickly so that users can access it quickly on a limited bandwidth network. So,
I think it's worth adding that 50% of the ads that AdMob serve are actually over Wi-Fi. So,
so half your ads are served over Wi-Fi at the moment. Okay, so people are really making use of that as a better experience.
Yeah, on smartphones.
Other views? Anything we can do to help improve that? And what about the risk of data caps coming back in and restricting traffic growth?
I think that's a good argument for apps and for mobile sites. One of the discussions we have a lot internally is why don't we just, because smartphone screens are so much bigger and because the browsers are getting more advanced on phones, why don't we just redirect them to .co.uk? And the caps and the speed is the reason for why you really want to have a mobile-specific solution. I think the cache in HTML5 will help with this type of network connectivity issue.
Okay. Any other views?
I think that most of our clients are, most of you, I'm sure, based in London. People forget that London is a fantastically rich network area. When you go out of London in the UK, and forget going elsewhere, but going within the UK, once you go, lots and lots of places in the UK got terrible reception, very poor or no 3G, so immediately you're dropping down to dial-up type rates. So if you have a product or a service that you want to have universal access, look at having a very, very light website, which is very easy to load and very easy to navigate with a minimum amount of data.
I think caps may be around temporarily as operators continue to invest in building out their networks, but things grow when users have understandable pricing, and caps make it hard to understand. We don't want to go back to the days of unlimited asterisk. You don't buy a coffee that has an asterisk after it. Nobody's interested in buying car asterisk. You have to come up with simple plans, and I think as network operators all around the world see the success of operators that do have simple plans, then caps won't be too much of an issue.
Okay. Apparently you can go outside London, so that was interesting as well. Let's have a range. Let's please disagree. It's really boring, everybody agrees. So be extreme in your views.
It's taken off. Somebody bought 2 sofas from Marks and Spencer's. What was that basket value? £3,000. 10 years ago, I set up a startup. We sold £800, £900 computers by SMS. Someone bought an iMac one day. So it's happening. EasyJet are selling tickets. You can't deny that mobile payments are here. If anyone says they're not happening, then, they've already missed it.
Robert will get violent. Other points of view?
I think strategically, I happen to know that network operators are thinking about buying banks, and I happen to know that banks are thinking about buying network operators.
The world's going to eat itself.
I can guarantee that somebody will win who won't be a bank or a network operator. Yeah. That's the only thing I can predict.
Does that mean the government's going to end up owning network operators because they own the banks?
Someone said they control them now.
No, it's going to be a complex world. We're going to have the reversal of the Bangladeshi solution here. Other points of view?
I agree with Robert. I think it's here today.
It's here today. It's here today. We're nodding.
Well, I mean, I think you have to make a slight distinction between m-commerce and payments, as an example.
Yeah, users don't.
Well, I think they do, in the sense that if you want to buy something with a mobile phone and the retailer doesn't have an account, your credit card details with you, will they put the credit card in? Yes, in some instances, no in others. So the idea of the perfect world where you can just pay with something like PayPal or Google or whatever, I think is still a way away. That doesn't mean to say that m-commerce isn't big time already. I agree with you completely.
Okay, so one of the things we had in the conversation earlier was about, do users care? Do users care whether it's an app? I think Nick was saying, do users care whether it's an app or a site? You're saying users don't care, Robert, how they're paying, they're just paying. You're saying, yeah, but payment could become easier later. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So it's already here, it's taking off. Okay, let's ask Nick first of all.
One of the reasons I'm here today is because I've launched 2 businesses in Japan and Korea. And in 2004, the last one I launched, I was astonished as people on the Tokyo Underground sat there watching full, high-definition quality sound and vision just as a normal part of their commute. In Seoul and Korea, people have an average 2-hour each-way commute, and all their buses, they commute in buses, and they're all completely Wi-Fi'd up. And everything, the whole life, games, communication, everything of any kind is done through that mobile phone. And it was clearer than some of the high-definition TVs we have today. I think that those guys will continue to lead, but where we will do better is in the services. We're more innovative with services, they're better at product innovation. And they have not moved forward with their services at all. That's our opportunity.
Interesting. So they've got the technology but not the services,
Correct.
You're saying?
Yeah.
Russell, you've got a point of view.
Yeah, I think that's very, very true. I mean, I think the danger often is you look at Japan and Korea as being, the most advanced things, and that we're going to catch up with them at some point. Yeah, we will catch up with them technology-wise, but I would agree with Nick completely. It's all about services, or mobile. A lot of mobile is about services, and therefore, we need to look elsewhere for inspiration, and perhaps the UK is one of the best places to look for that inspiration rather than looking abroad necessarily.
Okay, shall we ask for pearls of wisdom? Who's ready? Katie, you've been sitting there thinking. Katie, give us your pearl of wisdom in a tweet.
In a tweet. Test and learn. Don't wait for the explosion to happen. Start testing and learning now, and see where it takes you.
Test and learn. Fantastic. Russell.
Well, I would echo that. Actually, I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, it's the times now. You have to get involved. Mobile is the ultimate test environment. So yeah, test and learn from it, and get quickly rolled out, because there's money to be made there today, and otherwise you won't be able to take advantage of it.
Okay, so test and learn. Second lesson was go first.
Yeah.
Test and learn. Okay, Nick?
Mine was going to be get started, and it doesn't cost a large amount to get started. As Russell said, it's about really having something that you can get out there and then get some analytics back to find out what is working for your customers.
Get started, get some analytics. Nick?
All the above, and just remember, this is the ultimate relationship marketing device, and anybody that has a business that's focused around that core requirement should be absolutely obsessed with this media.
It's about relationships, be obsessive. Robert?
I think there's fantastic service opportunities. It isn't just about sales, as Nick said, it's about the customer relationship. This is such a personal device. If you can give people valuable services, they will use them, and that will generate sales. You don't have to just try and move transactional immediately.
Okay, that was a bit long. What did you really mean?
I was going to say test and learn.
Okay.